The Galactic Empire was vast and old, its fleets numbering in the thousands and its power stretching across countless star systems. From gleaming capital cities to distant mining worlds, the Empire ruled with the confidence of a species that believed itself invincible. Its leaders saw themselves as the apex of galactic evolution. But even the greatest empires have blind spots. In a quiet corner of the galaxy, tucked away on the edge of what the Empire called the Outer Darkness, was a small blue planet known as Earth. To the Empire's scouts, Earth seemed laughably insignificant, a tiny Class B world populated by a species the Empire's databanks dismissed as primitive. Their scans showed no interstellar travel, no large-scale energy signals, and nothing resembling galactic trade. To the Empire, Earth was nothing more than a curiosity, a footnote in the annals of exploration. And so, when the Emperor's advisors brought Earth to his attention, it was not with awe but with greed. The planet's rich natural resources, water, minerals, and rare elements, sparked the interest of the Empire's mining guilds. The Emperor, seeing no reason to waste time, gave a simple order: take what we need. Within weeks, a fleet of Imperial ships was dispatched to Earth. The mission was routine. Dozens of planets had been subdued this way before. The fleet's commander, High Admiral Varric, expected no resistance. He wasn't even sure the inhabitants of Earth had discovered fire, let alone space travel. As the Imperial fleet entered Earth's orbit, Varric stood aboard the bridge of the flagship Invictus, gazing out at the blue-green planet below. Primitive, isn't it? Varric muttered to his second-in-command, Captain Lyra. Lyra nodded, though her gaze lingered on the strange patterns of electromagnetic signals coming from the planet. They were faint but unmistakably artificial. "Admiral," she said cautiously, "there's something unusual about those signals. They don't match the profile of a primitive species." Varric waved her concern away. "Static from their primitive radios, no doubt. Or perhaps they've invented some kind of rudimentary communication network. Nothing that matters to us." Still, Lyra felt uneasy. Something about Earth didn't fit the usual pattern. But she knew better than to question Varric, whose pride in the Empire's dominance blinded him to the possibility of failure. The fleet settled into orbit, and Varric ordered the usual procedure. A broadcast signal was sent to Earth in every known galactic language, demanding the planet's immediate surrender. The message was simple: people of Earth, you are now under the rule of the Galactic Empire. Surrender all resources and prepare to serve. Resistance will not be tolerated. For several long minutes, there was no reply. The silence was almost insulting. Varric smirked. "See, they don't even understand the message." But then, unexpectedly, a signal came through. It was crisp and clear, spoken in a language Varric's translators identified as English. The voice was calm and steady, carrying no trace of fear. "To the fleet of the Galactic Empire, this is Earth's response. Leave. This is your only warning." Varric stared at the screen, stunned. He replayed the message twice, unable to believe his ears. Did they just warn us? "They did," Lyra replied, her unease deepening. The crew on the bridge began murmuring. It wasn't just the content of the message that was unsettling. It was the tone. The voice didn't sound desperate or defiant. It sounded confident, as if Earth truly believed it had the power to make the Empire leave. Varric barked a laugh. "Arrogance. These primitives think they can bluff us. They don't even have a single ship in orbit." "Perhaps we should investigate further," Lyra suggested. "There might be more to this planet than we assumed." "Nonsense," Varric snapped. "Send a warning shot, target an uninhabited region, and show them the might of the Empire." The crew moved to carry out the order, but before they could fire, the Invictus shuddered. Warning lights flashed across the bridge as the ship's systems began to malfunction. "Report," Varric shouted. "Our weapon systems are offline." An officer cried. "Communications are jammed." "Sir, something is hacking into our systems." Lyra's eyes widened. "Admiral, I think they're already fighting back." Varric clenched his fists. How? They don't have the technology. But deep down, a cold realization began to creep over him. Earth wasn't as defenseless as they had believed, and their warning had not been a bluff. The Empire's fleet hovered above Earth like an enormous shadow. The Invictus and its sister ships, towering behemoths of war, waited for their commander's next orders. High Admiral Varric still could not believe what had happened. Their systems were down, communications were jammed, and the planet below had dared to issue a threat. But one thing was certain: Earth wasn't backing down. The bridge of the Invictus was filled with the hum of emergency lights and the sound of officers frantically trying to regain control of the ship. Varric's knuckles turned white as he gripped the armrests of his chair. "Admiral, we're being hacked from below," Captain Lyra said, her voice filled with worry. "This isn't a fluke. Earth has technology that we didn't expect." Varric's mind raced. He had underestimated the planet, but now he would have to deal with the consequences. He ordered the fleet to regroup and restore their systems as quickly as possible. They would show Earth who was in charge, no matter what tricks they had up their sleeves. Meanwhile, far below on Earth's surface, a different kind of preparation was underway. Despite the suddenness of the threat, the people of Earth weren't afraid. They had faced challenges before: wars, natural disasters, and the weight of their own history. They were a species that fought against the odds and survived. This invasion was no different. In the heart of the United Nations building in New York City, world leaders were gathered, their faces grave. The broadcast from the Galactic Empire had left them stunned, but the message from Earth had given them hope. Earth's response had been calm, measured, and firm. They would not yield to the Empire's demands. The President of the United States, Maria Hernandez, stood at the front of the room, addressing the global leaders. Her voice was steady but filled with determination. "We've been given one chance to protect our home. We need to act now, together, or we risk losing everything." Across the room, representatives from different nations nodded in agreement. The Russian Federation, the European Union, China, India, and many others joined forces, their differences set aside for the first time in history. The world had come together with a singular purpose: to defend Earth. The first step was to understand how the Empire had managed to disrupt their systems. Earth's scientists and engineers, many of whom had been working on cutting-edge technology in secret, now had to work together to counter the Empire's hacking methods. In an underground facility in Nevada, Dr. Elena Mitchell, one of Earth's leading quantum physicists, was already at work. She and her team had been developing advanced quantum computing systems that could manipulate energy on a subatomic level. Now they would put that knowledge to use. "We've always known that humanity was capable of great things," Dr. Mitchell said, looking over a massive digital display filled with complex equations and blueprints. "It's time to show the galaxy what we're really made of." In just a few hours, Dr. Mitchell's team developed a countermeasure, an advanced electromagnetic pulse, EMP, that would knock out the Empire's digital infrastructure. They knew the Empire's reliance on technology was one of their greatest weaknesses, and now humanity had a tool to strike back. As Earth scientists worked feverishly, governments around the world began to mobilize. Earth's military forces, though scattered and often outdated, were quickly reorganized into a unified force. The world's most advanced military technologies were shared, with weapons and spacecraft reconfigured to fight off the Empire's fleet. Every country contributed what they could, from fighter jets to newly designed drones. But Earth's greatest strength wasn't in its weapons. It was in its people. The people of Earth from every corner of the planet had united for a common cause. They were no longer divided by borders or politics. They were one world, one people, fighting to protect their home. As the fleet of the Galactic Empire prepared for another strike, Earth's leaders sent their second message. It was clear, concise, and carried the weight of their unity. "This is your final warning. If you continue your invasion, we will not hesitate to defend ourselves. "We are ready." The message was broadcast across the galaxy, and the Empire's commanders received it loud and clear. There was no fear in Earth's tone. Instead, there was the unmistakable sound of resolve. The Empire, for all its strength and power, now had to contend with a planet that had found its voice and its strength. High Admiral Varric stood in his command chair aboard the Invictus, staring at the message. The cold realization settled in. Earth wasn't backing down. They had proven themselves resourceful. And now, they were prepared to fight. But Varric wasn't ready to give up. "They'll regret this," he muttered to himself, though the doubt in his voice was clear. He knew they had made a grave mistake underestimating Earth. Now, they had to decide how to respond. The battle for Earth had only just begun. The Empire's fleet loomed over Earth like a storm ready to strike. But beneath the tension and uncertainty, something unexpected was happening. Humanity, despite the shock and overwhelming size of the Empire's forces, was not panicking. Instead, they were preparing, not just to defend themselves, but to show the galaxy what Earth was truly capable of. The Empire had underestimated the people of Earth in ways they could not yet understand. They had dismissed Earth's technology as backward and its inhabitants as primitive. But Earth had been quietly developing its own innovations for decades, hidden from the Empire's notice. Now, these secrets were about to be revealed. In a secure military facility deep beneath the Nevada desert, Dr. Elena Mitchell stood in front of a large holographic display. She adjusted a few settings, her brow furrowed in concentration. Around her, a team of scientists, engineers, and military experts worked in unison, focused on the task at hand. It was not just the future of Earth at stake. It was the future of humanity's place in the galaxy. "We've done it," Dr. Mitchell said, her voice low but filled with excitement. "The EMP shield is ready. We can disrupt their fleet's technology at will." The EMP was no ordinary pulse. It was a product of Earth's quiet, decade-long research into quantum computing and electromagnetic energy. This pulse would not only disable the Empire's ships, but also shield Earth from their counterattacks. In essence, Earth was no longer a defenseless planet. It had the ability to fight back. Elsewhere, military leaders were coordinating a response to the Empire's imminent attack. Earth's forces had been scattered, each nation working independently. But now they were united in a way the Empire could never have imagined. The United Nations, once a symbol of diplomatic cooperation, had become the center of Earth's unified defense. "We have to assume the Empire will come at us with everything they've got," said General Hiroshi Tanaka, the head of Earth's newly formed Global Defense Coalition. "We've got one shot to stop them before they realize what we're capable of." "We won't just stop them," said President Maria Hernandez, standing alongside him. "We'll show them that Earth is not a planet to be conquered. It's a force that can shape the future of the galaxy." While the governments worked to organize their military forces, Earth's most brilliant minds continued their efforts. The defense systems were ready. Now, it was time to put them to the test. The first test came sooner than anyone expected. The Empire's fleet moved into position, prepared to launch another strike. The Empire's commanders believed that Earth's warnings were mere bluffs, that their primitive technology couldn't possibly stand up to the might of the Empire. But what they didn't know was that Earth had already outsmarted them. As the Empire's ships closed in, the sky above Earth shimmered with energy. The Empire's sensors began to register strange readings, as if space itself were bending. It wasn't an illusion. Earth had harnessed a form of energy manipulation that even the most advanced civilizations in the galaxy had yet to understand. The Empire's fleet was about to feel the full force of Earth's hidden technology. Dr. Mitchell and her team activated the EMP shield, and in an instant, a burst of energy rippled through space. The Empire's ships, which had once been invulnerable to the attacks of lesser civilizations, now found themselves powerless. Their weapon systems went dark, and communications were cut off. The Invictus and its fleet of warships could no longer coordinate with each other. They were trapped in a sea of silence. "Now," President Hernandez said, her eyes fixed on the holographic map of the galaxy. We show them we're not just a target, we're a threat. In the blink of an eye, Earth's military assets, drones, fighter jets, and orbital stations, launched into action. The Empire's fleet, now disorganized and vulnerable, was no match for Earth's rapid and coordinated strike. While the Empire's ships struggled to regain control, Earth's forces struck with precision, disabling the largest warships one by one. And then, to the Empire's horror, Earth's AI systems took over. The same artificial intelligence that had been used to develop Earth's defense systems now controlled every military asset on the planet. The drones and fighter jets, once ordinary machines, had been transformed into intelligent weapons that could think and adapt faster than any Imperial officer. Back on Earth, in every corner of the world, people watched as their planet fought back. Nations that had once been divided now stood united in pride. The people of Earth were no longer passive spectators in the galactic drama. They were active participants, shaping their own future. Across the galaxy, news spread like wildfire. Earth was not only surviving the Empire's invasion, it was defeating it. On the Invictus, High Admiral Varric stood in silence, staring out at the crippled fleet. He had never seen anything like this. The Empire's advanced technology, the very tools that had crushed civilizations for centuries, had been rendered useless by the planet he had once dismissed as primitive. The cold realization settled over him. Earth was no longer a target. It was a force to be reckoned with, and the Empire had just made the biggest mistake of its history. The defeat at Earth's hands had shaken the Empire to its core. It was an event that no one in the Imperial Command had ever expected. High Admiral Varric, though filled with anger and disbelief, knew one thing for certain: retreat was not an option. To back down now would be to acknowledge that Earth had bested them, and the Empire would never allow that. "We will not be humiliated," Varric muttered, his face grim as he stood on the command deck of the Invictus. "Earth thinks it can fight us, but they have no idea what they're up against." The Emperor, infuriated by the loss of several ships and the failure of their first invasion attempt, called for an immediate meeting of his top generals. His voice, cold and commanding, rang out across the holographic communication platform. "Do not mistake this setback for a defeat," the Emperor declared. "We are the mightiest empire the galaxy has ever known, and Earth will bow before us. Double the fleet size. Bring in the elite battalions. We will crush their rebellion and restore our honor." The Emperor's orders were clear. Earth would feel the full wrath of the Empire. A second wave of reinforcements, far larger than the first, was dispatched to Earth. This new fleet was equipped with the latest weaponry, warships capable of withstanding the most powerful defenses. They were accompanied by the Empire's elite soldiers, warriors trained for years to conquer entire worlds. The Imperial forces set course for Earth with a sense of invincibility, their weapons primed and their mission clear. Their arrogance was palpable. The second wave would surely overwhelm the planet and restore the Empire's dominance. But on Earth, the response was not one of fear. Instead, the people of Earth had come together, even more united than before. The fight was not just for their survival, it was for their future. President Maria Hernandez stood in a secure command center, her face determined as she addressed the world's leaders. "We've proven that we can defend ourselves, but now we must do more. We cannot let the Empire think they can push us around. We will fight, and we will win." Around the globe, governments and civilians alike were preparing for the next wave of the invasion. Earth's military, once divided into independent nations, had now become a unified force. Every country, from the United States to China to Brazil, had pledged its full support. The scientists who had helped design Earth's defenses now worked tirelessly to ensure that their weapons were ready for what was coming. Dr. Elena Mitchell, the brilliant physicist who had helped develop Earth's EMP technology, was at the forefront of this effort. "We have one shot to stop them," she said to her team, her voice unwavering. "We need to build on what we've already done. We need to disable their entire fleet, not just their weapons." Her team worked around the clock, refining the technology that had already disabled the Empire's ships. They modified the EMP system to target more than just the ship's systems. It would now create an interference field, disabling the very ship's ability to communicate with one another, preventing them from coordinating their movements and attacks. As the Second Imperial Fleet approached Earth, tension filled the air. The people of Earth were holding their breath, waiting for the moment when they would have to face the might of the Empire's war machines once again. But this time, Earth was ready. High Admiral Varric's fleet arrived, the ships gliding into Earth's orbit with menacing precision. They were more powerful, more numerous, and more prepared. Varric believed this would be the moment when the Empire would crush the resistance. "We will end this," Varric said, his voice filled with venom. "Prepare to fire." The Empire's ships positioned themselves, ready to launch their first attack. The fleet was massive, its firepower unmatched. They were certain that this time, Earth would fall. But just as the Empire's weapons charged, something extraordinary happened. The same pulse of energy that had crippled their first fleet now surged through space once again. Earth's EMP system activated, sending a wave of interference that rippled across the Imperial fleet. The Empire's ships froze in place. Their communications went dark. Their weapons failed. The Empire's elite soldiers, the pride of the Imperial military, found themselves stranded, unable to carry out their orders. "What's happening?" Varric shouted, panic creeping into his voice. "They've done it again," Lyra replied, her eyes wide with disbelief. "The EMP has disabled our fleet once more." But this time, it wasn't just the weapons that were disabled, it was the entire fleet. The Empire's carefully laid plans had been shattered by Earth's ingenuity. The second wave of attack had faltered, just as the first one had. The Empire's command structure was fractured, and they were once again left at the mercy of Earth's superior technology. On Earth, the people watched in awe as the Empire's fleet struggled, immobilized by their own overconfidence. The message was clear: Earth was not to be underestimated. But even as the Empire's forces faltered, Varric refused to surrender. "We will not lose to these primitive beings," he declared. "Regroup. We will find a way to crush them." However, the realization was slowly setting in for the Empire. The second wave had failed just as the first had. Earth was no longer the helpless planet they had once thought it to be. Instead, it was a force that had proven it could stand toe-to-toe with the greatest empire in the galaxy, and win. The Galactic Empire had suffered yet another devastating setback. Their second wave, a massive fleet of warships and elite soldiers, had been immobilized by Earth's advanced technology. High Admiral Varric, once confident in the Empire's superiority, now faced a reality he couldn't deny. Earth was not the primitive, helpless planet they had thought it to be. Inside the command deck of the Invictus, Varric seethed with frustration. His once mighty fleet was now a collection of stranded ships, vulnerable and confused. The systems that had been so carefully designed to crush lesser civilizations had been rendered useless by a force they had failed to recognize: human ingenuity. "We can't stay like this," Varric said, his voice sharp. "We need to regroup and adapt. The Empire does not lose." Captain Lyra, who had remained by his side throughout the campaign, hesitated before speaking. "Admiral, Earth's technology. It's unlike anything we've encountered before. It's not just the EMP. It's how quickly they develop new methods of defense. We underestimated them." Varric clenched his fists. "They're a threat now, but we can crush them. We just need a new strategy. We will find a way to neutralize their technology." Meanwhile, on Earth, the mood was very different. The people were not celebrating yet. They knew the Empire would not give up easily. They had defeated the first wave, but now they had to prepare for the possibility that the Empire would return even stronger. President Maria Hernandez stood at the front of a global strategy meeting, her expression firm. "This is not over. We've stopped them twice, but they'll keep coming until we show them we can't be defeated." Her words were met with nods of agreement. It was true. The Empire was relentless, but Earth had already proven that it could stand up to their might. Now, the key was to keep improving and stay one step ahead. Humanity's greatest strength wasn't in its weapons, but in its ability to adapt. Dr. Elena Mitchell, the brilliant physicist who had helped develop Earth's EMP technology, was at the forefront of this effort. We can't stop with the EMP. We need to find a way to disable their entire fleet at once. It's the only way we'll guarantee that they can't retaliate. Her team had been working around the clock to refine their technology. They had created something even more powerful than the first EMP, a universal disruptor, a device that could scramble the Empire's entire fleet, rendering it entirely ineffective. It would be their trump card. We'll need to be precise, Dr. Mitchell continued, her voice steady. One mistake, and we risk losing everything. The pressure was immense, but the scientists, engineers, and military leaders knew that humanity's survival depended on their success. Together, they worked tirelessly, perfecting the universal disruptor, ensuring that Earth was ready for the next attack. Across the world, the people of Earth stood united in determination. Nations that had once been divided by politics and geography now worked together, sharing resources, knowledge, and technology. It was a rare sight, a planet united under one banner, the survival of humanity. As the days passed, the atmosphere grew tense. The Empire, after suffering such heavy losses, was preparing for its third wave. This time, they wouldn't rely on brute force alone. They had learned from their previous failures and were planning a more subtle attack. But Earth's scientists were ready. On the Invictus, High Admiral Varric was preparing his fleet for the final assault. His eyes narrowed as he stared at the holographic map of Earth. This time, we strike at their core, he said. We'll eliminate their defenses and leave them unable to respond. But Varric knew that the situation had changed. The longer this battle dragged on, the more the Empire's advantage dwindled. Earth was no longer the underdog. It had proven itself to be a worthy adversary, and the Empire's arrogance was beginning to crack. Back on Earth, the universal disruptor was ready. The military was mobilizing, coordinating efforts from every continent. The fleets were being assembled, and the people, soldiers, scientists, engineers, and civilians, were ready to make their stand. In the sky above Earth, the Empire's third wave began to approach. This time, the fleet was larger, more advanced, and prepared for everything Earth had thrown at them. Varric believed this would be the final confrontation. Once the fleet disabled Earth's defenses, the planet would fall. As the Empire's ships entered Earth's orbit, the planet's military activated the universal disruptor. A burst of energy surged from Earth's surface, traveling up into space and enveloping the entire fleet in a wave of interference. The Empire's communications went silent. Their weapons powered down. Their ships drifted in space, helpless and vulnerable. The Empire's elite soldiers, who had been poised to invade Earth's surface, found themselves stranded in the void, unable to receive commands from their leaders. High Admiral Varric stared in disbelief as his fleet was incapacitated once more. This is impossible, Varric shouted. How are they doing this? The Empire had made the mistake of underestimating Earth for far too long. Now, they were paying the price. Earth had turned the tide of the war, not with brute strength, but with intelligence, unity, and sheer determination. And for the first time since the invasion began, there was hope. Earth had shown that it could defend itself, that it could protect its home from even the most powerful forces in the galaxy. The Empire's once proud fleet, crippled by Earth's advanced technology, drifted helplessly in space. High Admiral Varric paced back and forth, his face pale with frustration and disbelief. The third wave, their final hope, had failed. Earth had proven to be more than a match for the Imperial might. How could this happen? Varric muttered, his eyes glued to the holographic map of Earth, now showing his fleet's disarray. We've been humiliated. How could a primitive planet outsmart us like this? His officers, who had been confident in their victory only days ago, now stood in stunned silence. Their once unstoppable warships were powerless, adrift in the vacuum of space, unable to even communicate with one another. The Empire had underestimated Earth in every possible way, and now the consequences were impossible to ignore. Lyra, the captain, was the first to speak. "Admiral, we can't keep pretending like everything is under control. If we don't take action soon, Earth will complete its victory." Varric turned sharply, his eyes narrowing. "What do you suggest, Captain?" "We could retreat," Lyra suggested cautiously, "but we would have to leave behind everything. Our honor, our fleets, our very pride would be shattered. The Emperor would never allow it." Varric hesitated, weighing his options. For the first time in his career, he found himself at a loss. He had never faced an enemy like Earth. Their resilience, their intelligence, their ability to adapt so quickly. It was something Varric had never expected from a planet considered so backward by the Empire. Then, in a moment of clarity, an idea sparked in his mind. "We won't retreat," Varric said, his voice cold with resolve. "We will turn the tide. We will go after Earth's most vulnerable point, their heart, their leadership." The captain raised an eyebrow, puzzled. "Their leadership?" "Yes. We've fought long enough to understand that it's not just technology we're up against. It's their unity. We break that, and their will to fight will collapse. I'll make an example of their leaders. On Earth, President Maria Hernandez and her top advisors gathered in a secure command center, reviewing the latest reports. The Empire had been forced into a retreat for now, but they all knew the fight wasn't over. The galaxy's most powerful empire was not one to give up easily. "We've held them off, but this could just be the calm before the storm," President Hernandez said, her tone serious. "The Empire is not known for backing down. We must remain vigilant." Her advisors nodded in agreement. Dr. Elena Mitchell, who had been leading the development of Earth's most advanced technology, joined the conversation. "Our EMP technology is holding, but we can't rely on it forever. The Empire is learning. They're likely developing new strategies as we speak." Maria Hernandez sighed. "I don't think the Empire will give up so easily. They're too proud. We've shown them that Earth can fight back, but they will likely come at us harder next time. We need a new plan." Just as the discussion grew tense, a communication alert flashed on the screen. It was a transmission from Earth's deep space reconnaissance satellites. The news it carried chilled everyone in the room. "Admiral Varric," the voice of the satellite operator crackled, "we've detected a significant shift in the Empire's strategy. The fleet is regathering, and it seems they're preparing for an assault on Earth's core leadership." Maria Hernandez exchanged a look with her advisors. "They're going to try and eliminate us directly," she said, her voice low. "This is it, the final push." Dr. Mitchell stepped forward. "We've studied their tactics. They'll strike fast and hard, targeting our central command, our major military hubs, and most importantly, you, Madam President. If they succeed, they'll cripple our ability to respond. We need to prepare." The room fell silent as the weight of the situation settled over them. Earth had shown it could defend itself technologically, but now the Empire was shifting its focus to something far more dangerous, an attack on Earth's heart. The world's leaders quickly devised a plan. The most crucial government facilities, military bases, and key leaders would be moved to secure locations deep underground, hidden from any direct attack. Earth's global military forces would go on high alert, and the population was informed to be ready for potential emergency evacuation. Meanwhile, Dr. Mitchell's team worked feverishly to upgrade their technology. They could no longer rely on just EMP pulses. They needed a way to keep the Empire's soldiers from ever reaching Earth's leaders. The key was protection, not just defense. Hours later, as the Empire's fleet began its approach, Earth's defenses were ready. The underground bunkers, equipped with advanced shielding and defense mechanisms, were secure. The leadership had been moved to safety, and Earth's military was set to protect the planet with every available resource. But Varek's plan was already in motion. A small, elite group of Imperial commandos, cloaked and disguised in stealth technology, had been deployed to infiltrate Earth's defenses. Their mission was clear: to assassinate the leaders of Earth before the planet could respond. Varek knew that if they could eliminate Earth's resolve, its leaders, they could break the resistance for good. But what the Empire didn't know was that Earth had anticipated this very move. In the deep bunkers beneath Earth's surface, President Hernandez and her advisors were safe, but they were not alone. Hidden from the Empire's view was Earth's greatest strength, the unity of its people. And as the Empire's final gamble unfolded, humanity was about to reveal one last surprise. The tension in Earth's command centers was palpable. The Empire's final assault had begun, and there was no turning back now. The fleet, regrouped and ready for one last push, was heading toward Earth's heart, targeting the planet's leadership and military hubs. If they succeeded in eliminating Earth's leaders, the planet's resistance would crumble. President Maria Hernandez, deep within one of Earth's most secure underground bunkers, stood before a large screen. The situation was dire, but she was resolute. "We've come too far to let the Empire break us now," she said to her advisors, her voice unwavering. Dr. Elena Mitchell, who had played a pivotal role in Earth's technological defense, was next to her, reviewing the latest data. "We've reinforced our positions, and the shield generators are active," Dr. Mitchell said. "But the Empire's commandos are skilled. They won't give up easily." Maria nodded. "We've prepared for this. Earth has been united for the first time in history. We will not let the Empire destroy that. We fight for every person on this planet." Outside, the air was thick with anticipation. On the surface, Earth's military was in full defense mode. Soldiers, scientists, engineers, and civilians were all working together, ensuring the planet's survival. The Empire might have superior technology, but humanity had something far stronger: their will to protect their home. The Empire's special forces, cloaked and equipped with advanced stealth technology, were already on the ground. Their mission was clear: infiltrate Earth's underground bunkers, eliminate key leaders, and dismantle the resistance once and for all. The commandos, skilled and silent, made their way through the underground tunnels, carefully avoiding detection. Their movements were calculated, but Earth's forces were prepared. Hidden sensors and advanced security measures were in place, ready to foil any attempt to breach the bunkers. As the commandos neared the central chamber where President Hernandez was located, they encountered the first obstacle. A series of electromagnetic barriers activated, preventing them from advancing. The Empire's stealth technology was good, but Earth's defenses were better. "We've hit a dead end," one of the commandos muttered into his communicator. "The security systems are too advanced." Back in the bunker, President Hernandez and Dr. Mitchell watched as the commando's progress was halted. A small smile crossed Maria's face. "They've underestimated us again." The Empire's commandos were skilled, but they had failed to anticipate the depth of Earth's defenses. The underground bunkers were equipped with cutting-edge technology, systems designed not just to protect, but to fight back. The commandos were about to discover that Earth's greatest weapon wasn't just its technology. It was the determination of its people. As the Empire's special forces attempted to regroup and find another way in, the rest of Earth's military forces sprang into action. The surface defenses, which had been built up over the past few weeks, were now fully operational. Anti-ship lasers, ground-to-air missile systems, and force fields were activated, all designed to thwart the Empire's remaining attack. Varek, aboard the Invictus, watched in disbelief as the surface of Earth came alive with resistance. "What is happening?" he demanded. "Why are their defenses stronger than we anticipated?" Lyra, his second-in-command, stared at the screen, her face a mixture of anger and confusion. "It's as if Earth knew we would come for them. They've turned their planet into a fortress." The Empire's fleet, still orbiting the planet, was forced to retreat from Earth's surface, unable to break through the powerful defense systems. But Varric was not one to give up so easily. "Prepare the last phase," he ordered. "We'll destroy Earth from above." With his orders given, Varric activated the final phase of the Empire's plan, a planet-destroying superweapon capable of unleashing devastating energy across Earth's surface. But just as the weapon powered up, a new force entered the equation. Earth's new universal disruptor, an invention designed to counteract the Empire's overwhelming power, was fired. The massive beam of energy shot into space, hitting the Invictus and causing the entire fleet to flicker and fail. The disruptor had successfully shut down the Empire's superweapon, rendering it useless. Varric's eyes widened. No, it can't be. For the first time in his life, the High Admiral felt fear. The Empire's final weapon had failed, and now Earth's forces were closing in. The unified resistance, led by President Hernandez, had not only defended their planet, they had outsmarted the Empire at every turn. On the ground, Earth's military forces had finally tracked down and neutralized the Empire's commandos. The leaders of the Empire's ground assault were captured, and the last remnants of their forces were surrounded. It was clear to all that the Empire had lost. As President Hernandez watched the situation unfold on her screen, she allowed herself a moment of relief. "We did it," she whispered. "We've won." Dr. Mitchell nodded, a look of pride on her face. "We didn't just fight with technology. We fought with everything we had. Our unity, our resolve, and our will to protect what's ours." In space, the Empire's fleet was in disarray. Varric, defeated and humiliated, gave one last order to his forces. "Retreat. We've lost." As the remaining Imperial ships turned to flee, Earth's military celebrated its hard-earned victory. The planet had stood its ground, not with sheer strength, but with intelligence, unity, and a fierce determination to survive. Earth had shown the galaxy that no empire, no matter how powerful, could ever break the spirit of its people. And as Earth's citizens looked to the stars, they knew one thing for certain: they had earned their place among the stars, and no force would ever threaten their world again.